So should the House be getting up from the table with so much left on their plates? Texas Congressman and House Freedom Caucus Member Louie Gohmert joins me now. Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Well, as far as I know, I'm fine, but I hope this doesn't scare you, Kennedy, but your opening monologue sounded like something I've been saying for some months now. I thought it was terrific. You're exactly right. Now, I'm a big fan of us spending time at home, talking to our constituents, but right now, we know we just got elected in November. I know what 75% of my district said you do. You promised us to do those things, and it's just hard to believe that we're not doing them. I couldn't believe the Senate could not even agree to vote on what they did in the last Congress, promising, every one of them, except Susan Collins said, hey, you give us the presidency, this time we'll send it back, we'll get it signed, we'll get the repeal into law, and we couldn't even get that done. I mean, there's nothing that sounds good about any of that.
Well, no, and I know, and I've talked to some of your colleagues, and I hear the frustration, but you were all elected to get together and do the business that you promised. Now, what I'm wondering is, with health care on the brink and tax reform now so far away, and tax reform, that's something that Steve Mnuchin said that you guys would have buttoned up before your August recess.
Yeah.
So what is the state of the House right now?
Well, I think the president was right in his instincts. We really ought to go after taxes first. He was convinced to do health care first because, gee, that means we will free up all this money we can use for tax cuts. No, we should have just gone straight to the tax cuts. Yeah. Dr. Laffer's right. We ought to just say, forget CBO. Let's do this for America. Let's help the economy, keep our promise. That should not have been a problem. And as I'm sure you're aware, many of us said, look, forget August. Let's stay here and let's get at least the health care reform, the repeal done.
Do you have colleagues who are willing to forego at least part of the recess to stay?
Oh, we're willing to forego all of it.
So why won't Speaker Ryan?
I
believe that. Why won't Speaker Ryan throw the brakes on the recess so you guys can get some of this stuff done? At least talk about a budget. At least have a plan for tax reform and some sort of plan for what happens if, by some miracle, a bill emerges from the Senate on health care.
Well, and that's interesting because in our conference, it's almost been used as a threat, or I guess it has been used as a threat. Look, guys, some of us have been standing up saying, let's vote on all 12 appropriations bills before we go home. And it was used as a threat. Well, but if we do that, you may not get home for a week. And we were all going, so, okay, let's do it. Yeah, we're good. I didn't hear anybody say, I can't do that. I don't want to miss. And yet they realize, uh-oh, they're not being threatened because they're willing to stay here and do that. So I don't have a good reason why we're not doing that. We should do that. And by the way, really, I know Mnuchin or somebody has been saying it's a long way off on the tax reform. I think he was good with it. But
can you do tax reform without a budget?
Now, I know my dear friend Kevin Brady says we can't do it without a budget.
Yes.
It does allow us, if we pass the budget, allows us to do it in the Senate with 51. But I promise you, we could do it in the House without a budget. We could do the tax reform. We could get it done. And I really think the key in the Senate will be if McConnell, who's really done some stand-up things recently, including this week, but if he just says, you know what, I'm going to the Harry Reid rule and Schumer rule. They were saying last fall that basically, when they take the majority back in last January, as they thought they would, it may be time to just do away with the 60-vote requirement and just go back. Well, yeah, I think they're right. I think we should follow their lead in the Senate.
It always seems like a good idea when your party is in power, but I implore you, cut taxes, cut spending, and let the economy grow. Let's see that 3 to 4% growth.
Absolutely.
I hope that's a moderate estimate, but we have to get government out of the way. We have to do something to rein in that spending.
And I keep begging the president not to let Paul Ryan and McConnell talk him up to 20 or 21%.
Yeah.
If we do 15% corporate tax, it undercuts China. We get those manufacturing jobs back. As a historian, I know if you don't manufacture manufacture steel and things, you don't win the next war. But we need those jobs back, and 15% corporate will do that.
All right, Congressman, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Keep giving those monologues. Love it.
Doing my best. Thank you very much.
You're preaching. Good.
Okay.